Cereal. What's the deal with cereal and how did it become something that maybe isn't good for us?
What? Cereal. Breakfast cereal.
Breakfast cereal. For the kids, for the health of the kids.
Listen.
For the children.
I had to move my sugary pop to the weekend because it was bad. And then we figured out no amount of alcohol is good. I had to move that to the weekend.
Yeah, just to limit it.
Yeah, to limit it. I had to move the chicken wings to the weekend.
Can't do that during the week.
I don't have time anymore to move cereal to the weekends, buddy.
You got to move cereal.
I can't.
Definitely to the weekend.
I'm going to have to take 3-day weekends every week just to fill in all my vices, man.
I know. And this is, unfortunately, this is where fun stuff sometimes goes to die as our channel. Welcome to Talking with Docs. I'm Dr. Brad Winning.
And I'm Dr. Paul Zalza.
Okay, so everyone's like, cereal, start of a healthy day, breakfast, most important meal of the day, all that stuff.
Yeah. I had a bowl of Raisin Bran this morning.
Very nice. So where did it all start? So it started with a guy named Dr. John Harvey Kellogg, a guy who worked in Battle Creek, Michigan, kind of near Kalamazoo, west side of Michigan. He was a physician there, and he ran this place called the Battle Creek Sanatorium, which was almost like a primitive health spa, where he promoted vegetarianism, exercise, and a lot of celebrities actually went there, like Henry Ford, Thomas Edison, Amelia Earhart. These are people from all around the world went there to get healthy, kind of like people do nowadays.
Smart people.
And he was a Seventh-day Adventist. And the big thought behind the invention of cereal was he wanted something that was bland, but nutritious to blunt some of the desires, including sexual desires, and promoted abstinence.
Real?
Yes,
through
celibacy. Through cereal.
That's a tall ask for a bowl of cereal.
It's a bit of a stretch.
Around the people I know.
Right. So him and his brother, Keith Kellogg.
What do you think about tonight? Why don't you have a bowl of cereal? Sure. You ready?
Maybe,
I'm not into it anymore.
Maybe I'll have 2 bowls. Okay, so John Harvey Kellogg, they were trying to actually make granola first.
Right.
But they left the dough out too long. And then they're like, this is weird. It kind of makes these weird flakes. Let's make this flaky cereal.
Yeah.
And originally it was wheat, and then they found it corn. Anyway, so long and short, that's how cornflakes were made, 1894. Okay, so everyone was like, well, it had no added sugar. It was really natural, and Dr. Kellogg was really proud of it. What happened? Well, his younger brother, Keith Kellogg.
Always an evil twin brother, right?
It kind of is a little bit. Always. Hey, here's the healthy choice. Keith was like, listen, this stuff tastes horrible. Let's add a bunch of sugar to it and market it to kids and to the masses. And he took over the business side and made Kellogg's about 12 years later. Dr. Kellogg was no longer involved. He's like, listen, I'm going to stick with the vegetarianism and the exercise and the bland food. You go do that. And he actually did not get rich off of it.
Dr. Kellogg's not getting invited to any of the flapper parties. And
definitely.
No, Will's doing the Charleston out there.
Definitely not. So let's talk about, between now and then, what's happened to cereal to make it not good for us. What would you say is the take-home #1 thing about cereal that no longer is healthy for us?
I would have to guess that it's the amount of added sugar. That's what I would say.
So added sugar is the biggest thing that's changed.
I think that's one of the things.
That is 100%.
Because when you're eating a bowl of cereal, you're sitting there reading the box, you've got nothing else to do, right?
Yeah.
You always read the box and they're all called out. And you look at the back and you see how much sugar is added. It's shocking.
Added sugar is shocking. I'd say a little bit before that's happened is the refining process of the grain or the kernel. And that's whether it's wheat or whether it's rice. When we refine grain, really grains or kernels have 3 things. They have the germ, they have the bran, and they have the endosperm.
I find that term a little off-putting.
Sure. Maybe Dr. Kellogg did too.
Right.
So what's happened is when you strip away the germ and the bran, you lose the fiber, the protein, the healthy fats, a lot of the micronutrients and phytochemicals that make it really, really healthy for you, and leave you with the starchy endosperm, which is that complex carbohydrate that can lead to potentially spiking sugars.
Let's show a little image of it.
Okay.
Just for those who don't understand it as well.
And you can see it here. And this is the same for rice. So when you refine the grain, you remove all the good stuff. And you're left with just the carb.
Because the fiber is in the bran. The bran is the outer shell. That has a lot of the fiber content. Which we talked about before and how important that is.
Yes. And this is, I think, also why people who are not fans of grains don't like grains. They don't like refined grains. I think that if they knew kind of how whole grains worked, they probably would like whole grains. They just wouldn't like refined grains. And for good reason. Refined grains are not good for us. Okay, so we said added sugar. So what else did they do to cereal to kind of make it not so nice? Well, they added color. They added other things to enhance the taste. A lot of chemicals.
Yeah, chemicals, taste enhancers, things to improve the longevity of the cereal.
Right.
And generally things that have, these came out, like you said, between World War I, World War II-ish. Industrial Revolution, it was a little bit before that, which enabled us to do this on a mass scale.
Absolutely.
To refine these grains. And so the knowledge at the time is different than the knowledge now. So we can't really get that angry with them because, FDA didn't know, we didn't have the means to do the clinical studies to see that some of the stuff was bad for you.
Agreed, even with things like dyes. So like we know things like red dye number 40 and yellow dye number 5 and 6 have been directly linked to hyperactivity and aggravating ADHD. So there's good scientific evidence that this is bad for us. They didn't know that before.
Yeah, like they're sitting there smoking a cigarette, eating a bowl of cereal. Well, this cereal is not good for me.
That's right. But this is the number one choice of cigarettes amongst doctors. This is the best brand.
Just like that. We didn't know that back then.
We didn't know that. Yeah. The other thing that's interesting about refined grains is that it's not really regulated. Did you know how much whole grain do you think you have to have in your box of cereal to have the word whole grain on your box?
Ooh, that's a good quiz question. I would say I'm going to be cynical and guess 10%.
So there is actually no amount.
Really?
So you have to have some, but it could be as low as 1%. Unless you say 100% whole grain, you can say whole grain, have 1% whole grains, 99% refined grains, and you can put whole grain on the box. So I would advise you, if you're looking at a cereal box, look at the ingredients.
Okay.
If it does not say whole early on in the ingredients, it probably is refined grains.
Okay.
So after added color and taste, the one thing that we talked about before is the glycemic index. So when you remove the protein and you remove the fat, this reduces your satiety. So after your meal, you're not going to feel full. No. You're going to have that sugary rush. So the glycemic index goes way, way up and then comes crashing back down.
Glycemic index is just a measure of how spike your sugar gets after you eat something.
Right. Compared to pure sugar. And some of the sugar, so pure sugar is like 100. And there are some cereals that rank up in the 80s and the mid 80s.
Right.
Like that's how sugary they are.
Right. And the idea is if you have high fiber food with the sugar, your glycemic index goes down because the fiber affects the transit time and the absorption of the sugar.
And same with a complex carbohydrate as opposed to a refined or simple carb. It still takes time to break it down, so it doesn't go up quite as quickly.
Right. And so these added sugars are simple carbohydrates that are added.
Right. And when you remove all that other stuff in refined grains, that's what causes that glycemic index to be really high.
Right.
So we talked about the colors, we talked about the taste, we talked about the preservatives. The other thing is something called the extrusion process. So sometimes in order to preserve shelf life and to make things like instant and easily cooked and taste good quickly, they put it under very high heat, very high pressure. Yeah. Also, this allows us to shape them into things like little oats, little circles, little flakes. It allows it to be more manageable in the manufacturing. Put the fun in the cereal. But this is also not good for it because it extracts a lot of the good stuff.
It's similar to plastic manufacturing.
It kind of is.
Yeah.
And then the last thing I would say is added vitamins and minerals. A lot of people are like, well, isn't that good? Well, yes, it's better than not having them there, but it would be better if they were in their natural form where they're more bioavailable and you could use them more efficiently.
And the reason they have to add these back is because they strip them all out in the refining process. So the refining process is really like throwing out the baby with the bathwater.
Yeah.
Which is a weird term.
That's weird.
And for that to happen, at some point in history.
That was a husband for sure.
For sure.
He goes, here, go dump this out. Where's the baby?
No, it's like, hey, where's Timmy? I don't know, I just giving him a bath a minute. You idiot.
I think.
How am I going to tell the other 7 children? Right?
I think, yeah.
So don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. And that's what you're doing when you refine these.
Well, the other thing about refined grains is, when they make white flour, they bleach it. You know what they use to bleach it? Things like chlorine gas and benzoyl peroxide. Like that cannot be good for you.
Yeah. No,
okay.
No.
So how can
denatures a lot of the good nutrients that are in there.
How can we advise people to, listen, I just really want some cereal.
Yeah.
Where can they go to find some decent cereal?
Fruit Loops. It's got fruit in it.
It's right in the name.
It's in the name.
No, Fruit Loops actually has, I think, 12 grams of sugar per serving.
It's not loops of fruit?
It's not loops of fruit. Mm. And I would say, even the ones that you think are healthy, things like Special K, it was advocated for a long time in a very successful marketing campaign to be low fat. All the cereals are pretty low fat, almost no fat, right? They don't have a lot of fat. So, hey, I'm low fat. Well, guess what? Cereal doesn't have fat in it.
Right.
But also it's a super refined grain. Yeah. There's a bunch of added minerals. So it's actually not necessarily good for you. So I'd say
not so special.
Look for things that are whole. If you wanted to pick one cereal that I would say is the most healthy, would probably be like an organic rolled oat, like a whole oat that you boil on a pot and then you add like some cinnamon or some nuts, or if you wanted something sweet, maybe a little bit of maple syrup. But those instant oatmeals even, those are a trick because the grains have been so refined, so much added sugar. it's just not good for you. And it's funny because I just saw a nurse that was coming in here. I said, hey, we're doing a video about cereal. And she was like, people always make the face when we do videos because like, cereal's not good for me. And I'm like,
people, you mean me.
Yeah. But people in the hall are like, what? Now cereal? Why are you going after cereal?
Move it to the weekend.
I'm like, I'm not going after cereal. We're just letting people know that cereal is not good for you and it's probably not good for your kids.
Oh, the kids' cereal is harmful.
Right?
Yeah. Oh, well, the dyes. There is some...
The dyes, the sugar crash, the lack of satiety. And what they did very intentionally in the middle of this last century is they had mascots like the toucan, like Tony the tiger, like the colorful commercials. It was like a cartoon. They're great. You know, they're not.
More alarming than that was putting a toy in the box of cereal to lure the child in.
Plastic toy, take it out. Awesome. Eat more cereal. You just wanted to race to the bottom of that box to get the toy.
And then you could cut out the back and mail it in for something.
Yeah.
So, however, on the other hand, I mean, if that bowl of Raisin Bran, which really is the brand is pretty good. I'm worried because I like the Raisin Bran. Now it's on my weekend.
All Bran Flakes actually is one of the better commercially available ones.
It has like about 17 grams of added sugar per serving, which is quite a lot.
It does?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a lot, bro.
It's a lot, especially because you figure it's 17 grams of sugar. The majority of it is added because the raisin now is a pretty sugary thing on its own. So I didn't know they had
How much fiber?
Oh, it's a lot of fiber. I can't remember the number of grams of fiber. It's a decent amount of fiber.
That helps blend it.
Yeah. It's a decent amount of fiber. But the idea is if that is displacing your scrambled eggs, sausage or bacon, and home fries, I think you're a step ahead. If you're trying to ease into a healthy lifestyle and that's your breakfast.
What? You mean Raisin Bran? Not Fruit Loops or Captain Crunch?
No. Okay. A bowl of cereal, like a generic bowl of cereal.
Yep.
And that's displacing your bacon, your white bread toast, your home fries, and your 3 eggs.
So essentially your saturated fat, your salt.
All that junk. I think that's a step in the right direction. Okay. You still got a ways to go.
Yeah.
But hey, I think you've done something. And don't say, okay.
I think there's going to be some comments that are going to argue that.
You think so?
They're going to say my grass-fed chicken that plops out an egg and my I guess it's probably not grass-fed pork, but my bacon. I think some people would argue that, especially the people that don't believe that saturated fat is a problem. But I would agree with you. I think
strictly on caloric density alone, like energy, calorie intake. I think that big breakfast is excessive.
Yeah, it's excessive. Yeah.
So I think in that case, and some of the cereals aren't horrible for you. You just mentioned a couple of yourself.
Yeah, there's not very many.
No.
Yeah, there's not very many. Some. And I think it almost is like dessert, though.
Okay, so what can people do? What can you do if you're trying to pick a cereal?
So I'd say read the box.
Read the box.
100%. And I think anything that you're eating out of a box or a can, we'll try to avoid that stuff. Yeah. But yeah.
So and when you read the box, you're looking for a few things. One, the added sugar. It's just got a ton of added sugar that you just don't need.
If it doesn't have any fiber in it, it's probably not good for you. It probably means it's a refined grain. You can look at the ingredients to see if there are any whole grains in it.
Yeah.
Not on the front of the box, in the ingredients. It has to be early on. Ingredients are listed from the most common ingredient to the least common ingredient. So the first couple are what really matters.
Yes. And then, see if that's a refined grain.
And if it has a whole bunch of ingredients, if it has like 20 ingredients, probably shouldn't get it because there's a bunch of stuff you don't eat.
Yeah. There you go.
All right. It's pretty good.
Look at weekend.
People are going to be sad. Leave a comment. I love the comments when we did our ultra processed food. Like, what's your guilty pleasure? People are like, oh, cheesy Doritos or this. Yeah. I like that. Leave your favorite cereal. Let us know. Yeah. I would say, you know what? I used to eat a lot of cereal. I've dialed it back. Yeah. I used to think that Vector was a really good cereal. You know, you think, I'm going to get strong with all this protein in it.
Yeah. It's a measure of velocity and direction.
That's right. It's a physics principle.
Vector.
I used to think Honey Nut Cheerios are good for you. So I'd say the regular Cheerio actually is very good. It's like 1 gram added sugar. It's a whole grain. Honey Nut Cheerios, probably not good for you. It's probably dessert. And I think that's why I liked it at night because it kind of tastes like dessert.
That's a good point. That's a good question. Is this a nutritious food or is it a dessert?
I think it's a dessert or a snack.
In general, ask that question when you're reading the box.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
I think I'm going to give you the answer. It's a dessert.
We're not going to...
You might, and the thing is, you might as well then just have a candy bar. Like if you're doing it to make a healthy choice, I think people are duped, and that's why people are angry, really angry at big food. They're like, listen, I was making a healthy choice. I'm paying good money for this. I could have just had a Twix bar for that matter.
But the proof is in the invention. I mean,
Yeah.
John Kellogg, the doctor, made it boring.
He tried.
He wanted to make it boring.
That's
right? And so it turns out that the boring ones are the ones that aren't bad for you.
Uncle Will Keith, the cousins of the Kellogg's, he wrecked it.
Yeah, way to go.
There you go. Someone else.
Well, I wrecked it from our health perspective, but from an industry and a bottom line perspective, he did pretty good.
Side note, cereal industry in North America is in the tune of like 15 billion a year. It's very, very big business. Now you know. If you like this video, please like it. Subscribe to our channel, leave a comment, share it with someone that you know is eating cereal, thinking they're making a healthy choice, but being sabotaged.
Like me.
Send it to Dr. Salsa.
Remember, you are in charge of your own health. Let us know what you think.
For sure. We'll see you next time.